Hi, this is Maysha with As Long as You're Breathing, and this is an Every Life is a Story event. We've had it going on all of this month, and we are talking about energetic awakening. I know most people call it spiritual awakening, but not everyone is comfortable with the term spiritual. And as long as we're breathing, StreamYard here, I want us all living in great big capital letters, and that means we've got to be able to talk about this stuff. So we're going to do it in as neutral terms as we can sometimes. And then we're going to live in great big capital letters other times and just say what we need to say. So,
as long as you're breathing, keep living. As long as you're breathing, keep living. As long as you're breathing, keep living. As long as you're breathing, keep living.
oh, Gabrielle, that was fun to do. I did that sitting right here in this chair, and
I love the intro.
thank you so much. It was fun, and I enjoyed the little song. But thank you so much for being here.
Thank
And
you.
yes, for doing this series because, girl, you and I parallel in so many ways, and yet in some ways not. And
Yeah.
so it has been such an honor and blessing to me to have you in my life, and the way we met each other and everything is just amazing. But it all has to do with energetic or spiritual awakening. And it's not that I am not my usual bear in a china shop self and can't say exactly what I want to say, but at the same time, I do like keeping it to just energy and then going on to the more metaphysical of it, because some people just, that's where they're at. It's just energy, and that's okay. That's the level of consciousness, and that's their vibration, and that's perfectly fine. But for others, yeah, it's they understand that we've assigned personifications, human personifications, to dimensions such as angels and dragons and unicorns. Oh my. They're good with it. So that's the kind of thing you and I will be talking about today. Is energetic awakening looks different for everyone, yet it's very similar for everyone. And don't be surprised if you have a Gabrielle and Maysha relationship where you confirm things for each other, or yeah. So tell us about your energetic awakening or spiritual awakening, and how you think people might benefit from knowing what happened to you and that could be happening to them, because that's the thing, is for people to see this is real. I'm not imagining it.
Well, originally, I didn't know at first I was going through a spiritual awakening even before I met my twin flame. So I was severely depressed. I had weighed almost 300 pounds. And I met this guy that was just like no other. There was something different about him. So, we were together for a while, then we broke up, and then we got back together the day before he passed away. Well, during that process, I had to learn how to love myself in that process. I was doing a lot of work then and didn't even know what I was doing. I was just intuitively being guided to do it. So back then I was more so into church. So I started getting back up going to church. And so that right there kind of put me back in the forefront of getting back into my belief system of believing into the divine, because I had lost all faith in all that,
Yes.
So, yeah.
No, girl.
Yeah. And so that was the divine putting me back in the forefront to be able to get ready for what was coming next. So fast forward, we were together for about 11 months, and we broke up for 1 month, and we got back together. And the day before he passed away, and I was with him and saw the accident that caused his death. So that right there triggered a soul shock. Like, I had PTSD after that and everything. And and when I look back in hindsight, it's like, we met each other for a reason. We're twins, we met each other to trigger these different things in each other. We had to learn how to heal. I had to learn how to heal on my own. When we broke up, he got with someone else. He had to learn how to heal and love himself with his soul. It was one of his soulmates, so I can respect the whole journey now. But that right there jump started a spiritual awakening or energetic awakening in me. I was, after that, it was just like, oh my goodness, like, this reality it's not even the same anymore. So at the time, I didn't even know we were twin flames. Never heard the term before. So I didn't find out we were twin flames until after he passed away and he started sending me these signs. So I didn't know I was a medium, any of those things. I just always been aware and open to certain things. Because when I was a kid, I had mediumship gifts and didn't even realize it because society closed them down.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, because you can't say things like that.
No.
And look at us now. Is there anything we don't say?
I know. But so mine was jump started or catapulted. My catalyst was my twin flame passing away. And actually, after he passed away, he told me he had a chance to come back, but he decided not to because we had work to do in this arena. He had to stay on the other side and we were going to work like this. So now we help people. We help people to discover their purpose, discover their passion, other twin flames that are on this journey that are confused about this journey. So it's a beautiful thing.
Wow. Yeah, there is so much there. I mean, the fact that there's something that triggers it, the fact that you meet people and they trigger it happening. That's kind of what happened in my life. Of course, you and I were born very high vibrational, created very high vibrational, born high vibrational, born very open and awake in many ways. Mm-hmm. And because of being awake simply means you're aware. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's one of the things I want people to really get is this whole terminology. I don't know if I'm consciously awake or not. I don't know if I'm energetically awakening. I don't know what, every time you become more aware of a truth and get rid of a social construct that is telling you how you have to be, and you're living from your heart space, you're having an awakening. And so awakening, you and I are still awakening to things. And so awakening is an ongoing process, but there can be things that trigger like this massive snowball effect of it. And in your case, of course, you lost your twin and then found out all of this stuff. Mm-hmm. In my case, I met someone who triggered all of it with me, and didn't understand any of it. I didn't understand anything that was happening, and this person is not in my life, But so the loss is there too. So I understand how you have to. Okay, this has worked out this way. Whether we wrote it that way, whether it's butterfly effect, this is what's happened. And that is one of the things that is beautiful about energetic awakening, I think, is you get to this point where you stay neutral and calm regardless. It doesn't mean that you don't feel your feels. Doesn't mean you don't have those moments where you're like, no, this can't be, and you cry a little and you hurt and you want to do what you used to would have done, which is try to convince the person or try to, but that there's no point. I mean, it's level of consciousness, it's vibration that they're in, and it's all you can do is be you and stay in your vibration and keep doing what you're supposed to do, and they'll either whatever the situation is, a person, a job, a family member, whatever, and that will work out as their level of consciousness comes to. So, I mean, there is a peacefulness and this sense of, well, it's a journey that comes on. But at the same time, we can go and we can know what our soul contracts are and all of those things. And then we're like, that can sometimes get a little out there too, because when you see it not happening that way, it's, yeah. So go ahead.
No, I'm listening. I'm taking I'm agreeing.
Yeah, it's a beautiful journey. It's eye-opening for sure. It is an awakening for sure, but it is multi-layered. And even though we ascend and we transcend the mind, we're never going to be done with it because there's always going to be a higher level. There's always going to be something else, at least in this plane of existence for us, there is. So, you now spend your time helping other people, but not just twin flames. You help everyone now. You worked in the twin flame arena and gathered all your skills, got your toolbox together and all of that. But now you help everyone. So what are things you see or are seeing that you're like, oh yeah, I went through that, or oh yeah, I got to help that person through that, where people are coming to you and they're like, I'm not sure what's happening to me, or I'm not sure I believe this even.
Yeah. Well, I'm seeing a lot of dark night of the soul, which is this deep depression state, kind of like before you go through a spiritual awakening or an energetic awakening, or while you're even going through it. We still go through some time dark nights of the soul, because we're up leveling different aspects of ourselves that these programming, these traumas, these wounds, or whatever else, we're up leveling those. But through the process, we're going through the storm. So I'm seeing a lot of people going through the storm right now. And so that's where I see a lot of people in that consciousness right now, and they're wanting help. They're reaching out for help. Like, this has to be more than this. It has to be more than me just getting up, working, paying bills, and dying. It's has to be something more.
Well, and I think that's kind of what I was alluding to. Well, it is what I was alluding to, is that this dark night of the soul thing, it's deep and difficult and hard. The first 100 times, I don't know how many times, the first ever how many you go through. Yeah. But then you do get to a point where you come through it so much more calm. I know just in our journey together, how many things have you held my hand through when I'm like, I can't do this anymore, Gabrielle. I cannot do this anymore. And now it's like, I'll contact you weeks later or whatever, say, well, I went through another, and we'll talk. And you're like, but this is the beauty too of what happens, because we are energy. And while you and I do believe it's conscious energy, we can take that out of it. We are energy. And so the vibration we're in and what we're putting out is what we attract into our lives. And you and I, every time we talk, one of us will say something and it's confirmation for the other one. It'll be like, well, I just got this download. And you're like, you got to be kidding. I've been getting that, or something like that. So I guess let's talk about that a bit, how that's what will happen is you will get to this point where things, you do take them better because you are up leveling, as you said, but there's all kinds of confirmation out there for you.
It's confirmation in everything. Once you become more aware, like I've used this analogy before, it's like a TV screen, the black and white, you're not seeing the whole picture. But when you started putting color in it, you started seeing the beauty in life and everything else. So you would get confirmation from other soul members, soul tribe members. You would get confirmation from maybe just going on TikTok and just doing something, you're getting confirmation. The universe, this energy can talk in different ways. Animals, nature, I'm always in nature. You would get confirmation. So it can come up in different ways. You can get confirmations if your abilities are coming on board from inside of yourself, communicating with spirit. So it's a lot of different ways you can get confirmation.
Yeah, and that's I kept it to just energy, but I'm going to go into that word conscious energy. Of course, that is the whole point of all of this, is we incarnate in these physical bodies for a tactile experience, but we are energy wanting to expand consciousness, and consciousness is the universe, the divine, which started out as just energy and then became conscious at some unfathomable point in time, because there's no way we can wrap our head around it in this form anyway. And so there is a consciousness to it. There is a plan. There is all of that, but there's also the sacred geometry of it, or the universal law of it. So that confuses people sometimes. I think they get into this, oh my gosh, I'm in the spiritual now. And they get into this magical thinking mode of, okay, if I just put it out there and I just believe, if I just put the energy out, it just happens. Well, you are attracting it to you, but no, the universe isn't playing chess with us either. You have to do the things. You have to clear the space for it. You have to follow universal law with it. You have to follow the sacred geometry of it. Like when all of our vibrational frequencies dropped because we shut down our chakra system. And we did this during Atlantean times. I was doing meditation last night with my friend Annette, and I'm like, it was an HFS moment for me. I'm like, I've tried to figure out. I mean, I understood that the sacred geometry of it was that they couldn't just take the planet and raise it up here to this vibrational frequency and fix everything, because that would have been so much chaos, because everything is relative. And, like Bruce Almighty, when he lassoed the moon ends for the romantic scene with his girlfriend and caused chaos all over. Well, that's very real. That's what would happen. But I've been like, because I know they've channeled so much to me about all the incarnations we've had and how we incarnated as very high vibrational, but of course we got here and we were in dense energy, and those incarnations did not go the way we planned at all, which they're supposed to, because that's by everybody being in their vibrational frequency of what they agreed to in their own free will, that's what makes each one of us get what we're supposed to have. But each one of us getting what we're supposed to have is why everybody gets what they're supposed to have here, because it's all relative. So it's like, okay, so knowing all of this, and the universe keep incarnating and incarnating, trying to raise the vibrational frequency of the planet. And why did this take so long? And of course, in part, it was the planet had to astrologically just get to the point that it was the planet itself was in that vibration. And that has to do with universal laws. It was the Big Bang. How long does it take for everything to get to certain points? So you couldn't lasso it and fix that. But what I was given last night, and I was, like I said, an HFS moment. You know how I get excited when they, we shut ourselves down in our own free will, because the fact that I talk about that the story was written and we're supposed to live it out, people get really, what about my free will? Well, you've got all kinds of free will here, and we shut ourselves down of our own free will. Mm-hmm. And so right now, what we're doing, this awakening we're going through, we're all having to turn that all back on under our own free will. And you can either turn it on and get in the vibrational frequency you're supposed to be in and have that beautiful life you're supposed to have, or you can stay stuck in dense energies and not. Mm-hmm. But the planet's vibration is going up, and it's going to get harder and harder for you to do that, because unless you're, and we talked about draconians yesterday, unless you're draconian and you are someone who does not get their energy directly from source, and so you're getting it from other people, unless you have become that out of choice again, because they weren't created that way, unless you have become that, you're miserable right now, because you're not living in frequency and you are feeling it. What back in our days when we were young in church had been called, I am convicted. That conviction you're feeling, it's not condemnation. It's not, oh my God, you're a bad person. It is, there's more for me and I'm missing it, and I'm cheating myself out of it. I'm robbing myself of it. So that's the kind of stuff I get all the time. And I know you do too.
Mm-hmm. I do. Yeah, I really, really do. And then sometimes it's hard because to explain to some people when they're in certain levels of awareness. Because if you're at a frequency, if you're talking, and it's not saying no one is better than the other, I have to make sure I say that.
The analogy I use is doctors and lawyers. I mean, they went through the same thing to get to these very high levels of consciousness, but what they know is entirely different. Mm-hmm. So, and they're both considered, like the creme de la creme. So you can be very high vibrational, very transcendent, but in whole other ways than the other person. So there's no hierarchy here. No. It's just, where are you in it, and what are you robbing yourself of?
Yes. And that's hard for sometimes for people to see. And I know I can say that because it was hard for me to see,
Me too.
We've been through this.
Yes.
So, and sometimes, we're still going through certain things or whatever. When we get to certain levels of awareness, that's the beauty about awareness. When you're at a certain place in your journey and you can see it for what it is, you can see where you are robbing yourself of certain things. Then you can vibrationally get in alignment, energetically alignment with that, so you can magnetize those things towards you. And it's our birthright, because we came here to co-create, to create.
We came here to have beautiful lives, because one, conscious energy is not going to create beings and then put them in hell. We're not going to do that, because they don't want to expand that vibration throughout consciousness. I mean, they don't want that. That is one of the things that I've experienced, is the literal pain of the collective over the low vibrational existences that they have incarnated into, because the intention was, okay, we're high vibrational, we can incarnate into this, we can pull the vibration up, and no, we didn't. And it's like lifetime after life. Like, I know for a fact that Caesar, Anthony, and Cleopatra are all three incarnate right now, because it's like, okay, we had such high vibrational aspirations in the story we wrote, and boy, did we blow that, but they're not hard on themselves about it. It's not like, oh my God, we failed humanity or anything, because they understand it was a level of consciousness. But at the same time, in the collective energy, there is a grieving and there is energy stuck, because it didn't unfold the way they planned, and how many people died because of the wars, how many, and so they are grieved over that. And so they're literally here forgiving themselves for it. So a lot of the forgiveness work we're going through, it's not even us. It's somebody else's, it's somebody else's lifetime that our energy was in. So it is us, but it's not us.
Yeah.
We don't even know, why am I experiencing this? Why am I going through this? Why is this a part of my life? And it's got to do with energetic imprints on our energetic DNA that we're having to release. And you and I, we have past life connections. So we know.
Yes. And those are those, I like to call them generational wounds, generational curses.
Right.
That's that harder energy to be able to maneuver. I had to actually do a session myself in the backyard last week. I had to let go of some deep generational stuff, and it's so deep in the collective. I get up every morning and I visualize, a blanket of unconditional love being put around the planet, and to raise the vibration of the planet, because I can feel the pain of the consciousness.
I can too.
Yes, we can feel it.
Yeah.
And it's deep, but I transmute that and I send that love out into the world.
Yes.
So this work is very, very important, because as you become energetically aligned, it's not just about you. It's about what you're doing for others. You're being of service as well.
Yes, that is the thing. And we're here just to be who we are.
Yeah.
People want to know, well, what am I supposed to do? You be you. You live from your heart space. And you are doing exactly what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
If you are happy, healthy, whole, and complete, the more you get to that, the more you're getting in the vibrational alignment of what you came here to be. And when you do that, you may not even know the neighbor's name next door, or the next door, or up door, or whatever, you
Mm-hmm.
may not even know who they are, but you are improving their life. And the stuff going on the world stage that you're like, I have no impact on that. Yes, you do. Every time you step into who you really came here to be, what you agreed to, what vibrational alignment you said, this is me, this is what you can expect of me. Now, I teach about unconditional love all the time.
Mm-hmm.
The universe, of course, is unconditional love.
Mm-hmm.
We are loved unconditionally, which means there's no, okay, this is the conditions for me loving you.
Yeah.
But it's, instead, each of us saying, this is what you can expect of me, and then living up to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's from the macro to the micro. That is what we do as a universe, as energy beings that are parts of the universe. We say, put me in, coach, put me in. And this is how I'm going to show up. This is what you can expect of me. I'm going to plug into that vibrational frequency. I'm going to do my part. It's going to be an amazing game. I'm going to love every minute of it. And the whole team's going to win. And somehow or another, the other team's going to win, because that's the only way everybody's going to be happy, healthy, whole, and complete. But then when we get here and we don't do that, that's that heaviness we feel. That why are things not right? Why am I not? But it's because we are still getting rid of all those energies that we're bringing with us. And then the societal programming is still here. And then there are traumas that happen when we get here. So that is exactly what we're all going through. But we are meant to be healthy, happy, whole, and complete. We wrote beautiful lives. And you can go to Akasha and find out about your soul contracts, that kind of thing. Now, people that are taking you to Akasha and telling you, now we can rewrite this, we can change. No, you can't. Don't buy that. Don't go down that, because there's a space-time continuum. You go changing, you go rewriting stuff in there. Now, you can say that contract is complete. You can do that, because that is like healing. That is like, okay, I've gone through this and gone through this and gone through this. I have figured it out. Now I'm releasing that. So that's a way of releasing, is by saying, okay, I'm not going to stay in that loop. That contract was complete. All you're really doing is a contract that really is complete. You're acknowledging the completeness of it. You're not going in there and rewriting your life. That's not what you're doing. You're acknowledging something that is completed, and you're finding out, holy smokes, that's why I'm in that loop, is because, so Akasha is a different way to heal, but it's and a way to find out what your contracts and stuff are now, what you're supposed to be doing. And by supposed to be, not should, but what you said, this is how I will show up. So go ahead.
No, I'm just listening. I'm listening. No, you're.
I know you always do that.
No, you're saying everything on point. I am agreeing.
it's just so important that people understand that
Yeah.
this is it is scientific. The science matches up. The But there is that spiritual aspect to it because it is conscious energy, and the spiritual part of it is the energy that cannot incarnate in us because we can only hold so much. We're becoming higher vibrational all the time and can hold more and more, which is why our gifts keep getting more and more online.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still at this point in time we can only hold so much. Well, what's not incarnate in us is in the chakras above us. That corresponds with dimensions. So we are multi-dimensional beings, and we have to transcend the mind, and the mind has to get out of the way and let us be open to the guidance because it's not magical. They're not like, okay, let's, like Battleship. Remember S4, it's like a Battleship. It's not like
Yeah.
that. They're not moving us around like that, but
Mm-hmm.
they see from their perspective
Mm-hmm.
things that we don't see. And so they're guiding us. So that's why we need to be open to our guidance. And we have to live from the heart space because the heart knows the story.
Yes. Yes.
But it didn't come here knowing because we came here to experience it. So it unfolds.
Mm-hmm.
But the mind, which got cocky, and it's like, we're the ego now, and we know how it's supposed to be, and we're being robbed of free will because they're telling you to live this story that who knows even who wrote that story, the stuff that, and that's how we got controlled, and that is, and so that is the beauty of it all is we are these multidimensional beings, and being open to that guidance is what leads us through that story.
Mm-hmm. And I'm glad you said something about that because that's how, when you said about being controlled, that's how we gave away our power as well.
Yeah.
We give away our power by being in this energy of not trusting ourselves, not trusting our divine internal guidance system, not trusting our intuition. So we give that power away to say, oh, I'm going to trust this person. This person knows more than me. I'm going to trust anything you hear. You have to learn how to have discernment within yourself. And that is very, very important. But to do that, you have to learn how to trust yourself, love yourself, have faith in yourself, have faith in the energy that keeps you alive every day. You're still living and breathing. What is keeping you alive?
Absolutely. You have to have confidence in yourself, and that is part of what. Well, that is the whole thing. Is we did come here to be sovereign over ourselves, and if we're each doing what we said we would do, this whole social construct system that we have anyway, it's not needed for control of anyone. Is it needed for logistics so that there's food supply and so that we are creating the things we need to build homes, etc.? The logistics of government are needed, but the control of government is not needed. If every one of us is stepping up and being who we said we would be, we don't need a judicial system to keep everybody. We don't need prisons full of people. We don't need all of that because it wouldn't be there.
It just wouldn't. It wouldn't.
Right.
And that is actually, as a child, I used to always, and that was one of those things that shut down as a child. I used to always have this vision of like utopia, of everyone living peaceful in harmony and eating and just, it's beautiful. But then people started telling me as I grew older, that's crazy. You're thinking crazy. So as me doing this work, I remembered, like it just happened like a few months ago, that image started coming back into my reality. And I'm like, you know what? I remember when I shut that down. I remember what age I shut that down. So that right there was our vision. Like children, I love talking about children because children are so intuitive. Children know so much. They're connected to the divine, and they have this vision of what this reality should be, what it can be if we work together. But I just wanted to say that because, we lose certain aspects of ourselves, so we can get back to that true being of our inner child, of where we were when we had all those gifts and visions and dreams. Then we will discover how to create this reality together.
Yeah, because as we know, at about age 7, we've got all this societal programming, and we are starting at about that age to stop being open to what we know, what our heart knows, because we're told exactly what you said. Don't think that stuff. That's wrong. I know when I was young, adults would say things like, well, he got that job and well, he's really liking it. That won't last. And I'm like, why not? Why does he have to stop liking
Yeah.
it? Or a relationship would start up and they'd say, well, boy, they're on cloud nine now. That can't last. And I'm like, why not? I mean, but if that's what you think and that's the energy you put out, guess what? It's not gonna last.
Yeah, this energy you don't get.
And that's what I would say to them. I would be like, it can if they wanted to.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
what you're saying doesn't make sense. You know, you may be the adult, but you're just wrong.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I had no qualms about saying so. You know, it's like, no, that's not right. You know, but as I got older, it was not okay to do. You know, I mean, it didn't mean I stopped. I still, but I became aware of the fact that it was uncomfortable because people weren't comfortable with the fact that, one, that somebody my age felt like they knew so much. Well, I did, because I was born at a vibrational frequency and awake to the collective consciousness, not the human collective, which is chaotic, but the collective. And I was getting the downloads. I was being guided. I was being, yes, you are right. Yes, you are right. But the pressure of that, and of course, the fact that the denseness of the energy here, it imploded my health. Because I had to go through so much to get to this point where I understood I'm an energetic being. So for people out there who are like, you know, I think my health is getting better because of this. Yes, it is, because you're meant to be healthy. And so, absolutely. And so this is how you do that, is awaken to the vibrational frequency you're supposed to be in.
Yes. I completely 100% agree. You know my story.
I do.
I used to have a lot of health issues, from congestive heart failure to fibromyalgia to a lot of different things. Migraines. I was diagnosed with migraines at 15, and I used to get Botox and everything, all different kind of pharmaceutical meds. And I was actually at one point in time in my life on 20-something different pills a day.
Jokes, girl.
I know. And
how'd you even swallow that many? It's all
at one time too.
It's all I can do to take what few I take. How in the world, girl, did you do that?
But when I started to follow my intuition, after I went through my spiritual awakening, so to follow my intuition, my guides, and started communicating with my other aspects of myself, then I started doing this energetic work, meditation, and stuff like that. And I gradually started to healing myself. I didn't even realize what I was doing at the time until one day I'm like, oh my God, I haven't had a migraine in a year. I haven't had a migraine in 3 or 4 years. You know, I haven't. And then just recently, I got the diagnosis from my heart doctor. I no longer have congestive heart failure.
Yay!
So I've just been healing aspects of myself by doing this energetic work.
Well, and you know, people, faith healing, faith healing. Okay, it's focused energy. You know, people will say, you've got to believe it or it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
And not because it's a favor being done by some divine being that is, oh, they're believing enough, I'm going to do this for them. But because it's universal law, you put enough energy out in the right vibrational frequency and that gets fixed. Now, a lot of people are like, well, why don't you have perfect health then? Well, there's butterfly effect. You know, I can't be necessarily in my perfect vibrational frequency with all the butterfly effects going on. Then there's also the collective, the human collective butterfly effect, and the fact that the planet's not in the vibrational frequency it's supposed to be in. So we can be doing everything as right as we can do it. And I don't like the word right, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We can be doing everything we can and putting ourselves in the vibrational frequency as closely as we can. But until everything gets in order, you may not be able to wholly and completely fix everything with yourself, but you can heal so much. But it really is you're healing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean we don't need medical Western medicine.
Yeah.
Because we are energetic beings in a physical body.
Physical body, yeah.
Physical body still needs, but that's why it's like a Band-Aid when all we do is go and we take care of the physical.
Yeah.
Because the root problem is always an energetic one.
Yes.
And if you're not addressing it, and that's what we've done all these years now, is we Band-Aided. And so spiritual awakening opens your eyes to this, and you're like, wow, I really do have control over that. Which in the Western medicine world, when somebody tells you, you're causing this for yourself. That's hurtful.
Yeah.
It's condescending. It is judgmental,
Mhm.
because no, you're at a level of consciousness where you're doing all you know to do.
Mhm.
So the reality may be that you could be in a different vibrational energy and be different. But if you've not come to that level of consciousness yet, if you're not at that level of awareness, then no, you can't.
Yeah.
And so that's the other thing too, is sometimes I see people in our world still be, in a way, condescending to people who are, they're like, well, you should be able to overcome that. I had a conversation yesterday with someone who was telling me, you teach this, you know better, because I was saying, no, I can't afford that. And they're like, if you say that, you can't. And I said, yes, I understand that's true, but there's also some butterfly effect stuff going on here that I don't have control over. But this person, while they were very high vibrational, they did not understand the fact that we do have butterfly effect, and that there are some things. That is why each one of us has to do our part.
Yes.
That is why each one of us has to get into alignment.
Yes.
And it's not, when I say it has to, that sounds like the should stuff of social construct. But this isn't about social construct. This is about releasing social construct and stepping into who you said you would be, which is what we are supposed to be doing with all relationships now. We're supposed to be taking all relationships and modeling them after exactly what we came here to do, which is each of us came here to be healthy, happy, whole, and complete in relationship with one another and the universe. A 1 + 1 = 3. We're all in relationship together within the universe. All of our relationships are to be 1 + 1 = 3 with a dimension of relationship. And that dimension of relationship is a new dimension we are adding to consciousness. And by adding a whole new dimension, we exponentially raise the vibration of the planet. When we all take our relationships and do this, you talk about helping the world. Each one of us, if we take every relationship and we do this, instead of 2 energies now, you've got 3 high vibrational energies exponentially raising the vibration of the planet. That's how we don't have another world war. That's how we don't have famine. That's how that's how people like you and I, who know that we can be healed, we don't have butterfly effect keeping us from having everything we're supposed to have.
Yeah. That's it. And it's beautiful. And I see where some people can get, especially in our community, it can be condescending, when you say certain things. So we have to be very mindful when we're talking to people about these things, because we don't want to put off the energy or the hierarchy. This spiritual, we have this big head. We're not putting out that kind of energy, because that goes back into the ego. The spirituality can get an ego too, so don't get that twisted.
It can, and you have to watch for that.
Yes.
It is.
But for me,
there are people out there like that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you're right. And for me, I just try to meet people where they are and gradually let them see that it's more to that. But of course, I can't force anyone to see anything, Those seeds are them to be able to fertilize.
Yeah.
So it's a process. Now I'm listening.
Yeah. You keep breaking it. You keep like freezing, and so I'm not sure when you're talking and when you're not. So it's cleared up now, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah. So I think for people who are like, well, how do I know where I'm at in the process? That kind of thing. Well, in place you're at in the process, because self-healing, doing self-care, becoming that confident, that and that is like a major part of it. But how you can know if you are stuck or if you are going up into the 5th dimension, actually, is when you realize that you're doing. Oh, I think you're froze again. There we go. The reason you're doing all of that to begin with is to form these 3 relationships. That's why you're doing all that self-care. That's why you're not doing it to put up the energy of, I'm taking care of me. It's going to be my way. I'm only worried about me. Because when you do that, and that is the level of consciousness we were in. I've got to have my boundaries. I've got to take care of me, yada, yada, yada. Yes, you do. But then you got to put out the energy, and everything that I myself, I respect others, and I want the same thing for them. And I'm willing to open up the energetic bandwidth to have those relationships. Because closing ourselves off from relationships isn't it. It is opening ourselves up to the correct relationships, putting the energy into the relationships we are meant to, and pulling the energy back to ourselves from things it's not supposed to be in. So that's how you know if you are stuck, if you are energetically we're in alignment with yourself. If you're at a point where you're like, well, I'm totally into the self-care, it's all about me, I'm going to live my life my way, da 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 da, and you're not aware of how you fit in the big picture, then you're stuck, and you've got some healing to do, or some progressing to do. But there's no judgment there. I don't judge anyone who is in it, because there are things I'm still dealing with. You know, I get awarenesses, new awarenesses all the time. So we can't judge and label people and say, well, they're stuck down there. No, that's the level of consciousness they're in. And if they, you know, once they open up to their heart space, and they're like, okay, I feel that I'm supposed to be there, they're going to be miserable until they do it. And so because you're not in the vibrational frequency you're going to be in. So that feeling is what's going to open you up to doing all of this. Is there's something not right. I'm not happy. I should be happy. I've got the world here. Why am I not happy? That feeling is telling you there's something else you're supposed to do. Yeah. And that is what's not supposed to do because of social constructs, but because it's what you came here to be.
And when you said that, I like to try to give it the analogy of, if we're on a, say for example, a road trip, and I leave before you and we're going to the same destination, you know, or you leave before me or vice versa, and we don't judge each other because before and you got on the road and you made it to the destination first and I might be an hour behind. We don't judge anyone, so we don't need to judge people where they are in their level of consciousness. It's not helping them to be able to transcend where they are. And how you know if you're in a stuck situation is if you're in a loop. If you're seeing patterns in your life that are not being transcended, that are not changing. And a good example would be, say, for example, if you're in a relationship and then you're attracting the same kind of guy, the same kind of woman, and you're like, I'm getting these men that do me wrong, these men that do this and this and that. We have to be aware of, well, what is in our energetic environment that are attracting these kind of partners in our life. So that's why awareness is so important. Because
and what we do
as well.
Right. And then what we do is we step out of those loops.
Yeah.
We just step out of those loops. And okay, so I keep attracting this same person in and they keep doing the same thing to me. Hold on a second. They're not a bad person. I'm stuck in the loop. They are who they are. And until that energy changes, they're not a bad person. But I'm responsible to get myself out of that loop and not keep, but don't judge yourself or beat up on yourself afterwards when you realize, holy crap, I contributed to that loop. You didn't know either. The forgiveness that we give others, the awareness we have that others just are where they are, you just were where you were too. So don't look back at your life. That's another thing with spiritual awakening or energetic awakening. Don't look back and say, well, I have totally effed my life up here. I should have known. I should have done. If I had done that, let all that go. Because if that's still where your thinking is, then you're putting yourself in a loop, because you were where you were. You did what you did. And it was the best you knew to do at the time. So now you're not there.
And that's why I say come back to the foundations of unconditional love. Before we even get to that kind of work of doing that shadow, those aspects work, you have to have that foundation. And that foundation is unconditional love. Because if you don't have that, you will start doing this work and start digging in deep into yourself. Then you'll start judging yourself and digging a deeper hole, because you're like, oh my God, look at what I've done. Look at the people I've hurt. it's not about that. It's about seeing where you are. It's about loving those aspects of yourself. That's how you transcend. That's how you transmute that energy within you.
Yes.
And then that's how you're able to be of service and walk in your high vibrational self and be a model for other people to see how it is.
And that's what we're here to do.
Yeah.
Exactly what we're here to do. And the fact, and people, a lot of people in this world that we're in, we'll talk about healing. And I talk about quantum leaping it all the time because I'm like, release it.
Yeah.
And they're like, but I don't know how to do that. And I just can't. Okay. Release it. That's setting the intention.
Yeah.
Just set the intention because it's energy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
release it.
Release it. Yeah.
But then whatever it is that you need, that's why we have different modalities, is what is it you need to ground that new place you've come to. And so for some people, it's journaling. For some people, it's a lot of meditation. For me, it's been a little of both. But I mean, it's a different thing for everyone that they have to do to ground that. But that's why I create so many meditations and visualizations, is envision what it is you want. See yourself letting go of what's kept you from it. And then ground that energy. And then keep coming back to that place. But you have to be, that's what awareness is. You know, people have made this out to be so woo-woo and mystical. It's not. You have to take action. You have to, okay, wait a second. I'm aware. It's like, okay, I love chocolate, but I am aware that as much as chocolate lights up my heart space, I cannot eat all of it that I want to. Or I am aware, I'm energetically aware, I am physically aware, I'm mentally aware, I am aware that I will be back up to way bigger than I want to be.
Yeah.
So I have to act upon that awareness. And so that's what this is about. It's about, okay, you've become aware of something now. Don't judge yourself for it. You loved chocolate. It lit your heart space up. But now you know, okay, I'm aware. I can't eat all the chocolate I want to. And just don't eat all the chocolate. And how do you ground that in? Well, put pictures of yourself up on the refrigerator when you ate all the chocolate you wanted to, or whatever works for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But by being in your vibrational frequency, the higher up you go, the more you get, the closer you get to that frequency you're supposed to be at, the more plugged in you are to it, the easier all of that gets, because you get, like I was saying earlier, into that neutral place where it's like, oh, this is who I am. Sheri and I were talking yesterday, and Pam and I have been talking about how, okay, what's going on with us? Because things don't feel exactly right. You know, I'm used to being, I don't know, in a different place.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was channeled something else yesterday. We are being acclimated to what it's like to be in the vibrational frequency we were born in, because we were born in a specific vibrational frequency. That's the frequency we're to be plugged in at. And then, of course, it is true that energy in motion, emotion, is one of the frequencies out there. And emotion, we have been really hitting that and have been told to, we've been channeled to hit on, feel it in your heart space, use the emotion to manifest, et cetera, et cetera. But it's not supposed to create these waves where we're high and low, high and low, high and low. And that's what we got used to. We got used to, okay, I'm high vibrational when I feel good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I'm not woo, you know, then I'm low vibrational. No, you are at a vibrational frequency that is high. We are high vibrational beings. When you are experiencing things, we are here to experience, you have the emotion of it. Then you come back to your set point. And that is meant to be a neutral place for you. So you are not riding these waves like this and having chaotic energy in your life. So the emotion, energy in motion that we experience, that is what lights us up and causes us to be in that relationship, be in that job, attract that in. Those aren't highs we're supposed to stay on. We are supposed to stay in that energy of it and keep attracting them in. But we're supposed to have a neutral place too that we come back to so we don't exhaust ourselves. And that's all it is. And we have to come to the point where we recognize that neutral place and we're like, oh, this is me. And that's that Zen point. That's that point where you can look at yourself and say, oh, and I've got to release that because I don't have the energetic bandwidth. We've got to be where we can think.
Yeah.
If we're always up in bliss and joy, you can't ground it.
Yeah.
You can't let the mind do its job. You can't be analytical and, okay, well, I've got to release that and I'm holding on to that. So there's a whole other aspect of this too, that just yesterday, because I've had people now for a week saying, I feel, I'm happy. I'm not depressed, but I feel like this.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm so glad you brought that up, girl. We hadn't even talked about that. Because I've been feeling the exact same way. I'm like, I'm like, okay, this is a new thing, I'm like, so what is going on? I'm not depressed. I'm not down. I'm not, and the spirit just been just taking me through it. And I'm just like, okay, so I had to transmute something last week and that was a big release. So I'm like, okay, but it's just like, I'm not in that high like I've been having. And I'm like, okay, so what is going on? And I didn't judge it. And I'm so glad you brought that up because that even brought more awareness to like, okay, so this is my new frequency. This is me getting adjusted to my new. And I already intuitively knew that, but by you saying that just clarified it.
There we go again. That's what we do. We mirror for one another and we confirm.
Yeah.
I've had, I don't know how many people contacted me for weeks now with this same thing. And then Pam the other day on a show, she was talking about how she's been doing this. And I came on afterwards and did another show and said, we're not supposed to do this and this. We're supposed to be in that neutral zone. And then yesterday, and Sheri won't mind me saying this, Sheri contacted me and we were, I was doing some mirroring and channeling for her and she was doing the same for me. And it's like, I'm like, hold on a second. I even stopped her talking. I said, hold on. Because I was writing while she was talking. And I said, I just got a free write. Hold on, So I'm like, this is our set points. This is, and so then everything I said to you, I said to her, and I'm like, oh, wow, that's something else to teach now. But yes, like you, I knew intuitively that that's what was happening, but I didn't have the articulation.
Yeah.
Because I've been telling people who've been contacting me, I've been like, there's nothing wrong. You're not depressed. You're not depressed. You're fine. It's this neutral place that we're supposed, but I'm like, what does that mean? What does that mean? And so yesterday I got you ought to see my notes because I grabbed a piece of paper that had like this on it. So I was free writing all the way around it, because it was coming to me and she was talking and I'm like, okay, I'll listen to her talk and I'll write what I'm getting. And finally I said, okay, you've got to stop because let me read this to you. She goes, and she's like, well, there's another HFS moment.
But so, I like this. I like, but thinking about it, I like this neutral place because you're able to, when things are coming your way in life, when things are showing up in your life, you're able to look at it at a level-headedness. You're able to not get too over dramatic. You're able to pull yourself because you're at a vibration where you're at peace.
You're at peace. That's where we're all supposed to be at, is peace. And here's the thing. We were all born, those of us who have gone through this already. And again, when I say this, there's no hierarchy here. It just is what it is. Yeah. We were all born very much in the air. We were all born. That way we could awaken to this and have this information and have these experiences so we could teach others. Okay. How many times have I said we are chronically ungrounded? Okay. We were, because that's where we were at, is air, and we had to learn to ground. That is what this is all about. That neutral place we're in is so we can have that great experience. We can meet that perfect partner. They can light us up. And instead of us doing this, I want that person, but I'm afraid. My mind is telling me, no, don't do that again, And so we do this, instead of doing that, we can, wow, this is amazing. Not even the mind even come into it and tell us, don't do that. That can't work. Ground that feeling of, this is amazing, and go to that place of peace. And then you can keep that amazing relationship. And those emotions are going to come in. You're going to see that person. You're going to be lit up. You're going to have those high moments. And those are going to be really often in your life, because you're not going to use all your energy on that, because you've managed your energy management. You've done your energy management, and you've got the bandwidth for all the other things that light you up like that. So instead of doing this, it's like, now I'm with that person. I'm lit up. I'm feeling this. Now I come to my neutral place. What else is it there in my life that I've got made the energetic bandwidth for? Oh, it's my career. My career lights me up like that. And so we are meant to have up and down. We're just not meant to do it so
dramatically.
Dramatically. And
Yeah.
we're meant to ground those things that are making us very high vibrational so we can go back to them. And so that's what we're learning to do is, girl, we've been grounding and grounding and grounding ourselves. Well, this is a natural point of being grounded. So we don't have to all the time, Mother Earth, please pull me all the way to the core of the crystalline grid and hold me tightly so I don't just, so I can keep doing this. That's what that is. So we have like 5 minutes left. What would you like to say about this whole process, or things that people may be thinking, I'm not sure what's going on with me, or I'm not sure I'm doing this right, or whatever? What would you like to say?
Well, I like to say it's really no right or wrong way. You're where you are on your journey. Do not judge yourself. Love yourself unconditionally. And if you need help, seek help. I mean, it's we're all learning this together. No one is hierarchy above anybody else.
Absolutely.
No one taught us this.
Maybe they're a few minutes ahead of someone, but you're no better than them for getting there, because girl, what you go through to get there.
Yes. Sometimes you don't want to have to experience. But it's a beautiful journey. Once you can get in the vibration of it and see it for what it is, even the hard times, even the things that come your way, you can still see the beauty in that. And that's the thing to grasp from here. It's beauty in everything. We just have to realize and learn and rediscover to see the beauty in everything. So it's a beautiful process.
It is exactly that. And the thing is, of course, I'm always talking about living in great big capital letters. Well, this is how we do it, is don't judge ourselves. Don't judge others. If you find yourself thinking, well, they're not at my level. Yeah. It's not a level. Mm-mm. That's when you're getting into your ego. Yeah. We're just at, so there are no labels here. There's no good guys, bad guys. There's no, oh my God, I'm at a higher vibrational. Okay, great. You're at a higher, guess what? A month from now, you're going to look back and say, man, I'm at such a higher vibration now. Yeah. So there's none of that. There's no labels. No. Don't judge yourself. When you see what you've done, just let it go. Yeah. Yeah. And know this, that if you are dealing, that's the people you're going to be attracting into your lives. Mm-hmm. And they're going to let it go too. Yeah. Because that is so much of what we do is, well, what would the other person think? Once you're in this vibrational way of thinking, you don't. Yeah. Yeah. You don't look at other people and say, well, boy, I remember when they did that. Mm-hmm. You're so lit up and happy that, wow, look, they have released that. They mm-hmm. have transcended that. Mm-hmm. And that means that everybody's vibration is going up. Yeah. I wrote a song where it's, I forget not to forgive mm-hmm. is one of the lines in it. Mm-hmm. That's where you're at with it. It's like, okay, yeah, you were in a lower vibration. You did that at that time. I was in a lower vibration too. Yeah. What energy was I putting out that contributed to that? Yeah. Okay, I stepped out of the loop. Now you figured it out and you're out of the loop. Hot damn. What can we do now? I mean, it's just that's where you're at. Yeah. I mean, you don't judge. And so for people who are like, well, what are people going to think about me? Don't let the people in the cheap seats rule your life. Yeah. And the people that are in the vibrational frequency that you're in, or the people that are coming up, they're not going to label you like that, and they're not going to do that. And the ones who aren't, just step out of the loop, mm-hmm. let them get there. And when they mm-hmm. get there, you're going to be, I'm so glad you're here. Yeah. 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 And they'll probably come asking you questions next. Yeah, because that is the thing we have to do with one another. And I have a spammer here I've had to block 3 times, so I don't know what they're doing. Of all things, I wanted to talk about naked online. I have some sacral chakra stuff I could lay on them and help increase energetic awareness here. But so don't worry about what other people are going to think or that kind of thing. And I know that sounds easy. I'm making it just don't worry about it. Yeah. It does get to where you don't worry about it. Yeah, it does. It does. But that is why we all talk about it like we do. I mean, mm-hmm. You heard Gabrielle here. She's like, you got to see one of the things that she and I do all the time. She's like, I am so glad you said that. And that is what we do, and that's what you're going to start doing with other people as all of this starts. As you open up to it, you're going to have people that you mirror with, and you're going to be, wow, I'm not crazy. That really is happening, which is always been the point of Every Life is a Story, is for people to share their experiences so other people could say exactly that. I'm not the only one. I'm not crazy. I'm not on the wrong path, or I can do that too. And so, yes, energetic awakening, you're not crazy. You're not on the wrong path. If you're hearing voices, don't run to the doctor and think you're schizophrenic. It's ask them, so what do I need to do? What's my guidance here? And be open to it. And let your life just get better and better and better. So you can live it in great big capital letters as long as you're breathing. Thank you, Gabrielle, for being on. We got to do this more often.
I know. Thank you so much.
We can do a show every day.
I know.
All right, you all. Thank you for being with us.
As long